Hello, everybody, and welcome to What the Hell Should I Watch? I'm Steve Stebbing,
And I'm Chloe Stebbing.
and we are your weekly rundown of what we're watching that may become something you're watching for the next week and weekend. And, last week I teased a bit a new entry in a pretty damn good modern franchise going on right now. So let's see what's fresh right now in theaters. All right. So I don't know how you feel about the the Planet of the Apes movies where you land, at least the modern
Love.
ones. We're talking Rise, War, I don't know, Rise, Dawn, War, and now we got Kingdom.
Yeah.
You love these ones,
I
eh?
I I love the entire franchise. I was a little bummed that James Franco's just gone, presumably dead from definitely dead.
Definitely dead by now, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah. From the virus or whatever. Um but yeah, I mean, like these movies still get me every time,
Mhm. And they're
especially the first one.
Yeah. Well, and these movies, because I really like what Matt Reeves did with Dawn, especially Dawn. I think that's my favorite of the modern ones. That's why I called it like the modern franchise, because we had the original, like the late 60s franchise was started there with the Planet of the Apes and Charlton Heston and Roddy McDowell. And then Tim Burton tried. I don't know if you've ever seen the Tim Burton version from 2001 with Mark Wahlberg. Do you even know of this movie's existence?
No.
Helena Bonham Carter, Paul Giamatti's in this one. They play apes in it, but your main human, the Charlton Heston role, is Mark Wahlberg. So, and you know how Tim Burton makes films,
Yeah.
and him making a Planet of the Apes movie. That's all I'm going to put out there. I'm not going to sway you good or bad. The audience right now who's watching probably has their opinions of this one, but it's not the caliber of the movies we're getting right now. And but not to say that the special effects were bad, because the ape effects are really good in in that movie as well. Like, that's not its downfall. But as far as Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes goes, the ape work is still incredible. Like photorealistic, like beautiful to watch. And well, let's get the synopsis from you right here.
Many years after the reign of Caesar, a young ape goes on a journey that will lead him to question everything he's been taught about the past and make choices that will define a future for apes and humans alike. Starring Owen Teague, Freya Allen, and Kevin Durand. Directed by Wes Ball.
So the actors, like in a mocap movie like this, the actors have to come through in a different and new way, and the eyes is where the actors come through in these, I mean, largely CG performances. And that's always been the case, especially from Dawn of the Planet of the Apes on. And Andy Serkis being kind of the leading drive of that with his portrayal of Caesar. So it all falls on Owen Teague in this film as his performance as Noah. And this kid, you would probably remember him from It. He was Patrick Hostetter, I believe. He's the main in this one, and his eyes are incredibly expressive and really, like, he's got great eyes. Like, there's just no other way to say it. He's got really good looking eyes. And my boy Kevin Durand is in this one, his second film in like a month after Abigail. And another great expressive performance. I mean, Kevin Durand's super underrated, and I really enjoy it. But maybe a big thing, because I really ended up enjoying this movie a lot, but maybe a big thing was I had a little bit of a lower bar set, because I knew Matt Reeves wasn't involved in this one, and that it would fall to Wes Ball, who did his only other movies are all three Maze Runner movies. Like, he doesn't have any other credits to his name as far as feature films go.
What a
um
weird way to jump in.
I
Just to
know
jump into
it's
like a major franchise and then
yeah.
do it again.
Exactly, and I'm wondering if Fox thought, or sorry, if 20th Century thought, that, well, he's already had a franchise under his belt, so we feel we can throw him into another effects heavy franchise, and he wouldn't sink. Like
Hmm.
he wouldn't be out of his element. He would know kind of what to do, especially dealing with a lot of CG. I mean, your entire principal cast is people in suits,
Yeah.
with the crutch things to make them have the elongate, like the monkey, the ape gait.
Hmm.
I can't even imagine what this boot camp was like too. Like it just seems
Yeah.
so insanely um life changing. Like because obviously it did change a lot of these actors' experience as performers for sure. Um, but as far as a technically interesting film and an engaging story, I mean, it is a little bit of a slow burn and it does feel a little overly long at almost 2.5 hours. Um, but it's I really ended up enjoying it, and I like that it sets up a whole new franchise, especially hundreds of years away from Caesar. And there's really interesting threads to this about, because Caesar's been dead for a long time now, so it's basically like his message being passed through different conduits to either bastardize it um or make everything the myth seem so grandiose.
Hmm.
So I really enjoyed that aspect of it. So, and it's definitely a theater film. Like it's one of those movies you'll want to see on the big screen. You feel kind of gypped if you see it on a television screen, I think. So I
Okay.
really dug it. I know you will too.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, let's move on to one that you haven't seen yet, but you are going to watch it, and possibly one of the best movies of 2023, thanks to Tahoe. Godzilla minus one.
Post war Japan is at its lowest point when a new crisis emerges in the form of a giant monster, baptized in the horrific power of the atomic bomb. Written and directed by Takashi Yamazaki.
And he had a nerd out moment because I mean he got because there was a lot of awards buzz around Godzilla minus one, especially in all the technical categories. So he was attending all of like the Hollywood Foreign Press dinners and the Academy dinners and everything, and ended up crossing paths with Steven Spielberg, who's a huge inspiration for him, obviously, like a lot of filmmakers, and had a Godzilla like replica like statue to give to
Hmm.
him just in the event that he would see him there. And
Yeah.
Spielberg ended up pulling him aside and being like, Godzilla minus one is like my favorite movie of this year. Like, it's you've made just an absolute marvel of a film. And it's absolutely true. This might be the best representation of Godzilla on film. In my personal opinion, because they've also added a human element that you can actually care about and get behind, and they've added stakes on the human level um, that works like nothing has ever nothing before, like even like you maybe go back to the original like the 50s and everything, the development wasn't as sophisticated, I think, as minus one plays it, and minus one is playing it as like the discovery of this new monster that is taking out huge landmarks in Japan, and all the stakes are there, the character development is there, and the monster effects are freaking awesome. Like Godzilla is bigger and badder than he ever has been before, and this is coming off of the Godzilla X Kong just being in theaters what a month and a half ago, and
Hmm.
I'm just kind of like, this Godzilla is better. I definitely, maybe it's good that I saw the original one the new Empire first. So I didn't
Hmm.
So I was able to enjoy that film on the level that it was supposed to be enjoyed. Because if I seen Minus One like even a couple weeks before it, I would have been like, yeah. I definitely would have felt more meh on that film for sure. I've heard, and I don't know if Canada's getting it or has gotten it, but there is a black and white version of this film that I would really, really like to check out. So I'm really hoping that the Blu-ray release that eventually comes for this would have both versions on it. And there's some interesting things about like instead of creating a new roar for this film, the crew simply played the original Godzilla roar over loudspeakers and recorded that audio. Its connection to the original film.
Yeah.
And then Gareth Edwards, the director of the 2014 Godzilla, a film that we both enjoy quite a bit. Um, he attended a screening of this film and he described being jealous while watching it, thinking, this is what a Godzilla movie should be like, not what I made, which
Yeah.
is still a cool film, except I feel like they killed Bryan Cranston a bit too early. I didn't
Yeah.
understand that decision.
Well, another thing is like the 2014 Godzilla was clearly made for American audiences. So there
Hmm.
will be
Hmm.
different stylistic choices and things that maybe you can't do in American cinema. And in Japan, it's different, and
Yeah.
like Godzilla is a Japanese like
And this,
creation. So,
yeah, and the story sensibilities are so different. Even when they did other kaiju stuff with Pacific Rim, Pacific Rim still has a very Asian um kind of like central narrative to it as
mhm,
well. So, yeah, it's the Americans trying to make it their own.
yeah.
And usually most of the time you should just always watch the original foreign film. It's just what it always comes down to. But I really, really loved Godzilla Minus One, and I think you'll dig it as well. It's pretty good. All right, this next one is from Mongrel Media. They sent me the screener. It's called We Grown Now.
Two young boys, best friends Malik and Eric, discover the joys and hardships of growing up in the sprawling Cabrini Green public housing complex in 1992 Chicago. Written and directed by Minhal Baig.
And this is a very well done film. There's a slow burn, uh, basically about three boys growing up in Cabrini Green. And to be completely honest, my connection to Cabrini Green, as far as just anything or pop culture or anything, is Candyman. The original Clive Barker adaptation from 1992 that was they had the sequel in sequel, requel, reboot.
Prequel.
Well, it's connected because I'm getting into spoiler territory, and I don't know if I'm supposed to be talking about We Grown Now, but I'm talking about Candyman. Tony Todd appears at the end of that new Candyman movie. Do you remember the ending of the film? Where the
Vaguely.
photographer guy has now basically he's cut off his hand and everything, the hook's there, like he's
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
basically made the transformation. She sees him down the street and he's got the bees coming out of his mouth. He's Tony Todd. It's not Yahya Abdul Mateen the third anymore. It's Tony Todd standing there. He has the last line of the movie though, is Tony Todd. So I think they are in the same universe because the new one takes place in modern day. So what was I talking
We
about
went,
again?
we went way
We
off
grown
tangent.
now.
Yep.
um. So yeah, this is like it is basically about a, a trio of lower class boys. Um, and so there is like a deep beauty about like the friendship of these kids, but also the harshness of the world around them, which affects the three of them immediately and in a most tragic way. And then it's just like these two kids then coping with what has just happened to the third kid, and still having that relationship and that connection, which lead to like a final scene that is like so heavy and like just I mean an emotional like manipulation for sure, and definitely one that works because it's definitely a tearjerker in the end, and that's all led to Min All Bag's uh, really interesting way to craft a special story with this script and these kids. I mean, we talked last week about kid performances and the make or break it can have effect it can have on a movie, and they're the driving force of this film. And it makes me want to go back and dig up her last film, which is called Hala, with Geraldine Wisfanathan, who was in the John Cena film Blockers. It's only rentable on Apple TV Plus, but yeah, I really want to check that out because I think she has a very good knack for telling these very small guided stories, and definitely cast cohesion as like at a main head of this one. So yeah, we grown now. I don't think you're going to see it in any kind of regular release. This is very limited, so probably just the major cities. But once it hits streaming, I definitely recommend it. So let's hit some of the Blu-ray discs that I've uncovered this week. All right, so the first one, this one's special. This absolutely special. It is new on 4K, but it's very near and dear to my heart, and I honestly can't say enough about it, especially because if it wasn't for this film, I wouldn't be podcasting right now on YouTube. It's The Crow.
A man brutally murdered comes back to life as an undead avenger of his and his fiance's murder, starring Brandon Lee, and it's directed by Alex Proyas.
And I mean, this is on my letterbox as one of my four. Like, this is and it seems so weird to say like this is the movie that like my cinema brain like birthed from, but this is like the movie where I started paying attention to like cinematography, direction, art direction, lighting, soundtrack, um, and just style, because The Crow, I mean, it is a mid 90s revenge action flick at the end of the day. Like it is exactly that to its core, and kind of fits almost like a cliche of that time, but there's something so empirically, I don't know if that's the right word, so ingrainedly like goth to it as well that I pick up on in a large degree. It was a soundtrack I latched onto right away. Me and my friends watched it over and over and over again once we got it, and we like even to this when I watched it just the other day on 4K. I can still say, and it's probably super annoying, I can still say the entire script with the movie. Like I know it front to back. It's one of those movies, and it changed me as a movie fan. It completely changed me. Um, and yeah, it possibly has the greatest movie soundtrack ever. Nine Inch Nails, The Cure. I mean, there's just so many Pantera's on it. There's so many great bands on it. Good cast. Ernie Hudson from Ghostbusters. Michael Wincott, who's most recently seen in Jordan Peele's Nope. Bai Ling's in this one. Lawrence Mason, who played Lord Nikon in Hackers, which is another obsession of mine. Don't Early '90s obsession of mine. Another reason why I love movies. Get into that at a later date. And David Patrick Kelly is in this one from The Warriors, and he was also Jerry Horn in Twin Peaks, which is another special thing to me. The list goes on and on. I mean, this is a quintessential 90s film that just always has a place in my heart. 4K, I mean, doesn't add I didn't feel like, whoa, this is in 4K. I felt like I was still watching The Crow. Like it didn't like improve anything for me, but it's The Crow. It's still a damn killer movie. Have you ever seen The Crow before?
Um, I haven't like sat down and watched it, but I'm aware of it. Like I know about it.
Hmm.
It is something that I need to actually watch, though.
What is more likely that you will see the original or this new Bill Skarsgård one that's coming out
There's a Bill
first?
Skarsgård one coming up.
Okay. Well, yeah, there is. They remade it. It's coming
Yeah.
out this summer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know, man. I really like Bill Skarsgård.
Yes, and you have to see Boy Kills World because of that.
Yeah.
Boy Kills World rules. All right, let's move on to an Academy Award winner, 7-time Academy Award winner. They just released a brand new Blu-ray edition. It is Gravity.
Dr. Ryan Stone, an engineer on her first time on a space mission, and Matt Kowalski, an astronaut on his final expedition, have to survive in space after they are hit by debris while spacewalking. Starring Sandra Bullock and George Clooney, written and directed by Alfonso Cuaron.
Chiron. Have you ever seen Gravity?
Yes, I've seen Gravity. I saw it not in theaters, I don't
No,
think.
I didn't get to see it in theaters either. I kind of
Yeah.
wished I did. Even watching it this second time, I definitely wished I'd seen it in theaters, especially because this time I watched, there's a mode on this new double disc that came out last week. That's the silent space version. So they took the score out and then they dulled, like, unless they basically kept it in mind with how sound would resonate in space. So there is sound like when things are really close to her, but
Hmm.
otherwise not really. And it added a bit to it. It's still basically Sandra Bullock hyperventilating in space for a lot of it.
Right.
Like I can't imagine what the ADR was like for her recording, like her standing in a studio booth, like hyperventilating.
Yeah, I saw Gravity and I really enjoyed it, but I when I tried to sit down and watch it a second time, I couldn't do it.
Yeah,
Um it cuz a lot of it is just Sandra Bullock's heavy breathing and space, and that's it.
yeah, and there's some of it that I don't enjoy on the rewatch, like some of the inside the helmet cam as she's like hurtling through space and stuff sometimes is a little much.
Mhm.
Um, and I get really annoyed with the scene where Clooney climbs back into that Russian capsule. The part that's not supposed to be real,
Right.
right? Where all of a sudden he's
Yeah.
back and she's like, "How did you
Yeah.
make it?" And he's like, "Oh, I beat blah blah blah's record." And I don't know. I love Clooney. Clooney is so full of charisma that I love the dude. Anytime he shows up in anything, he's just full of charm and charisma. And I love the guy. And I generally do like Sandra Bullock, unless it's like The Blind Side, which I hate that movie, but that's a whole different story. But there's just certain things about this movie that are really tough to take. Jen, my wife, hates this movie, and the second viewing didn't improve that at all. Especially the fact that there's no score to detract away from the aforementioned hyperventilating. So that opinion has not changed at all. Um, but I mean, love this movie or hate this movie is still a theatrical experience that has never been done before. Like it is so original
Yeah.
in its execution that it 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 stands alone in its category. Like it's
Yeah.
the definitive spacewalk movie for sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still
I
that, and it didn't diminish that at all.
yeah. I feel like Gravity and like the Avatar series is kind of in the same bubble where it's like it's a phenomenal movie with phenomenal like visuals and like you enjoy it when you're there and then once it's done it's like okay, it's done.
Yep, yep,
We're
pretty
not going to
much.
talk about it again.
Yeah, yeah, we're good. We're good. We don't have it. Like the conversation's there. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
She's in space. She basically falls out of space. Like, it's a long way around her falling out of space and landing in a lake. Is it plausible? I still don't know. I don't think so.
no,
I don't think so. I feel like the depressurization of that is tough. It's very tough. I still think she would be goo by this point, but
yeah.
hey, who am I to tell Alfonso that he's wrong? All right. Let's change the tone and let's do some comedy. Let's do Blazing Saddles on Blu-ray.
In order to ruin a western town, a corrupt politician appoints a black sheriff who promptly becomes his most formidable adversary. Starring Cleveland Little, Gene Wilder,
Coincidence? I think not!
Slim Pickens,
Yeah,
Mel
Slim
Brooks,
Pickens.
Harvey Korman, and Madeline Kahn, written and directed by Mel Brooks.
Slim Pickens. There was a movie called Dr. Strangelove, or How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. And there's an iconic scene of basically a cowboy guy riding a nuke down and going, yeehaw.
Yeah,
That's Slim Pickens.
awesome.
Yeah, Slim Pickens is awesome. He was very funny, and at least to me as a kid, because both those movies are big movies to me. Blazing Saddles is great. It definitely could not get made now. There's a lot of stuff. It's whenever you see the meme that says that this movie would not be made now, it's absolutely true. But it's still one of the greatest spoof movies ever made by the king of spoof, Mel Brooks. And this movie is neck and neck with all of his other great spoofs, like Robin Hood Men in Tights, Young Frankenstein, which may be my favorite of all time, Silent Movie, History of the World, Part One. So much great stuff, but it's been a long time since I watched Blazing Saddles, and there's just a lot of funny, iconic things, just the madness that the third act becomes. And it kept reminding me that I think I probably talked about this when I initially that I got this Blu-ray, but Paws of Fury, Michael Cera
Hmm.
animated film. It's basically a remake. But as far as the cast goes, Gene Wilder was a special actor. He was Willy Wonka in the original Willy
Yeah.
Wonka film. He's an actor that always has had just like a mischievous twinkle in his eye. Like, there's just something about his performances that I really love. Harvey Korman is brilliantly funny. He plays such a great villain in this, and Madeline Kahn is an absolute treat. And this was like one of her early things as well, which is just crazy to think. And the scripting is incredible, and yeah, like the entire cast shines at every moment. And I love Mel Brooks. I'll always love Mel Brooks. And it's not clearly not a new movie, but there is a new Blu-ray edition out for it, so I definitely recommend it. You got something going on in there.
Yeah, I don't know.
I
We're
lo- I
freaking out.
love the animal kingdom that's always going around on in your background there. That's so great. All right, so you didn't understand. I'll explain this one, but let's head over to the streaming pile, and I'll tell Chloe what that means. It's a poop joke.
I kind of got that when I was making the transition. I was
Mm.
like, wait, I just I thought you were
Steaming.
better than this, man.
No, come on. Of course not. I'm not. Definitely not. I'm not beneath making that joke. Come on. That's what I do. All right, so this one is actually kind of BC local to talk about this, but it's a brand new mystery series. It is Under the Bridge.
Rena Verk, a 14-year-old girl, went to join friends at a party and never returned home. 7 teenage girls and a boy were accused of the savage murder. Starring Riley Coe and Lily Gladstone, created by Quinn Shepard, and it's available on Disney Plus.
Yes, this happened in 1997. So it was a little bit just before I moved to BC to go start grade 10, but I knew about this story. This happened on Vancouver Island in Saanich, and I mean, you still periodically hear about parole things or attempts to get parole from Kelly Ellard, who killed, who was convicted of killing Rena Verk. Um, and it was just such a shocking story about teenagers killing teenagers. Like, it was just a real, like, it became national news. But now to see it as part of like a true crime series, I think is really interesting. And I would have watched it anyways because I love Lily Gladstone. She was nominated for an Academy Award this year for Killers of the Flower Moon for an incredible performance as Molly Burkhart. She's such a fierce actress, and I really love her. Her introduction into this series is a little bumpy, a little rough. It's not exactly a likable character. She plays law enforcement in this one. But Riley Keough, I enjoy her a lot. She had a little bit of a fumble with the last thing I saw her in, which was Daisy Jones and the Six, and I really did not enjoy that series. It kind of became a hate watch in the end. Just to complete it, like, oh, I just gotta. It's an 8 episode series. I just gotta get through the last 4 episodes. God, I hate this show. And she's not faultless in that show. Some of her performances is where I didn't really like the series. But I like this so far. And it's interesting to know that Rebecca Godfrey, who wrote the book for what this show is based off of, and was a producer on it, she handpicked both Riley and Lily for their respective roles before her death from cancer in 2022. And Riley Keough actually plays Rebecca Godfrey in this show. Um, but the atmosphere is so familiar because it's BC, like it's that foggy post rain BC and stuff like that. So when you're
Right.
seeing it, you're like, I know this, I know, I feel this. So it's interesting to see a narrative mystery show like that done where it's actually supposed to be our backyard. It's not supposed to be
Hmm.
Seattle or Portland or something like that. So I enjoy that. And Quinn Shepard, very interesting. She's the showrunner, very interesting filmmaker, because her previous film was Zoe Dutch, called Not Okay, and it's been on my list for a while because the reviews are really good on it. And she also did a movie called Blame in 2017, I believe. But she says the inspiration of how to do this show was Truman Capote and like In Cold Blood and that kind of stuff. So that's really interesting to me, and I really dug the first few episodes. I'm still cruising my way through this series, but I'm digging it a lot so far. And if you like a good true crime series, I think you would dig it too.
Awesome.
And you may have fleetingly heard of Kelly Ellard or Rena Verk just because it's a BC local story. Let's head on over to another streaming service for Dark Matter.
A man is abducted into an alternate version of his life. Amid the mind bending landscape of lives he could have lived, he embarks on a harrowing journey to get back to his true family and save them from a most terrifying foe, himself. Starring Joel Edgerton and Jennifer Connelly, created by Blake Crouch, and it's available on Apple TV Plus.
So, I mean, a likable cast because I really like Joel Edgerton in basically everything I see him in. Jennifer Connelly, I've been a fan of her since I was like a preteen. With no, before that, Labyrinth. I've been a fan of her since
Labyrinth, yeah.
Labyrinth. And Jimmy Simpson, I absolutely love Jimmy Simpson, and the last TV series he was in was Westworld, so I got to give him that love as well. Um, and Blake Crouch did Wayward Pines. Did you ever see Wayward Pines? M. Night
No.
Shyamalan was like the producer on it. It was on Fox for 2 seasons. It's a really good like mystery series. I don't want to give too much away if you ever watch in the future, but it's a fun show. Um, and this show is definitely him playing with alternate realities, I think. because the two versions of Joel Edgerton are him. Like, it is him,
Hmm.
but with different experiences at different times. So
Right.
I think the first episode does a great job to set up this mystery. It is a bit of a slow burn, I would say, through the first half of trying to figure out exactly what this show is, and the character development is a bit vague. But I was into it by the end of the first episode, and I think the potential is there. Maybe it could put the foot on the gas a little bit more when it comes to like atmosphere and thrills, but it might come through with something really big in the finale to set up a season 2, because I don't think this is a limited series. So far so good. If you want to find a good sci-fi mystery, Dark Matter might be up your alley. All right, we're gonna do some music stuff here,
All right.
and I don't know how you're gonna feel about it, but we're gonna say thank you, good night, the Bon Jovi story.
Follows the history of Bon Jovi, featuring personal videos, photos, and music that provide a look at John Bon Jovi's life and the band's journey from New Jersey clubs to global fame. Available on Disney Plus.
How do you feel about Bon Jovi? Blank stare. That's well.
Uh,
Well, I'm an
didn't he go
'80s.
to Africa and like make everybody in Africa love him, or that's what he told everybody, or something?
don't know. I want to know who you're talking about now, because I don't know. I don't know if that was him. Maybe it was him. I don't know. But I'm an '80s kid. So obviously John Bon Jovi fucking rules. I grew up with his music. I grew up with "You Give Love a Bad Name" and "Bad Medicine" and "Runaway," and I mean, I rented the Young Guns movies, these westerns, over and over again, and the song "Blaze of Glory" was like the theme song for Young Guns 2. So I was like ingrained obsessed, and even watching this series and seeing the old footage of him and everything, the guy is just, he was charismatic as soon as they could put a camera on him. He was like born to be a rock star. And so when you see him in his heyday, in like with the big hair and the sunglasses and everything, he looks like $1 million rock star. Like, of course he was going to be a rock star. But I mean, it's interesting because the show is about him celebrating 40 years as Bon Jovi, as that band. um all I can remember is the drummer, because he's got a killer name, Tico Torres. I just really like that name, Tico Torres. um but just to retrospectively look at his life and his career through old tapes that he has and everything is really cool as well. I also didn't know that he almost completely lost his voice, or was going to lose his voice, so he had to fight to keep his livelihood going. So I think that's really interesting, and the whole, like, he's a New Jersey guy, so because of it, Bruce Springsteen is brought into it as well, because Bruce is the ultimate New Jersey guy as well, and the inspiration in a lot of way, and the obtainable inspiration as far as John Bon Jovi was concerned. So I really think that's kind of interesting, because I love it when seemingly not really connected artists connect, and I think that's kind of cool. But I'm also a music nerd, and I love a good music documentary, and the fact that they're stretching this out to, I think it's 6 episodes, is I don't know, I enjoy stuff like that. So and I was late on this review, I'm sorry, Disney, so you're getting it this week, because I was totally late on it. But yeah, it's a fun series, and if you like good music doc, check it out for sure. Let's move into a very decidedly different one. The third season of Bridgerton hits this week.
The 8 close knit siblings of the Bridgerton family look for love and happiness in London high society, created by Chris Van Dusen.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have much to say about this show. It's Shondaland, so Shonda Rhimes
Shonda
who did
Rhimes?
who
Yeah,
did
okay.
Private Practice. I don't know why I led with that one. Grey's Anatomy
Yeah. I was
Scandal.
like, "What?"
Yeah, Private Practice. That was the spinoff of Grey's Anatomy.
Mhm.
Um, and I mean, I don't know, how to Get Away with Murder. I'm cool with, but that's just because my friend Katie was on the first season, so I got to give my love for that one. But I don't know. There's each season apparently is about a different character. It's racy, steamy, sexy, but it's I don't know. It's just I keep trying every time a new season comes out because there's also a spinoff called Queen Charlotte, which I hear is okay. I keep trying it again. The reason I enjoy any of it is Nicola Coughlan, who was in the Netflix series Dairy Girls, which I also really like.
Yeah.
It's a good show, and season 3 is her season for Bridgerton. Like it focuses on her, so that's more interesting to me. I think than the first two. I didn't really enjoy the first main character of the first season. I do like Regé Jane Page, the romantic lead. But he leaves the show anyway, so don't get attached to him. So I don't know. I find myself dipping in and out of this show. It's just some stuff's good about it, but some stuff just I'm get bored with certain storylines. Well, I gotta pass this one over to you, and because you're bringing this one to the show, it is Them season 2.
It's an anthology horror series with varying characters, and it spans over the seasons. So the second season, which is the new one,
Mm-hmm.
it's about a um, detective, a black detective in 1991, and she is trying to solve the murder of um, a foster mother. So it's a woman who runs a foster home, and she's one of the main characters, and then the other one is Edmund Gaines, and I really want to give appreciation to the actor who is Luke James. He portrays Edmund so perfectly because Edmund is a character who's kind of down on his luck, and he just progressively becomes more radicalized, and he's an aspiring actor who can't get roles because it's 1991, and the only roles that are available for black men are that of gangbangers or criminals or that kind of sort.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
he's like this tall, nerdy, skinny guy. Um, so it's him trying to cope with that, and we also have the detective trying to solve the crime of the murder, and they merge together so nicely, and just really everybody's acting is absolute top notch, and I can't recommend this show enough. The first season is more graphic
Mm-hmm.
um,
Mm-hmm.
than the second season.
Okay. Little
It,
Marvin's a hell of a creator, hell of a
Little
writer.
Marvin is fantastic. He does such a good
Yeah.
job with these character stories, and just
Mm-hmm.
everything is fantastic. The cinematography, the like just the way everything is done. I can't give enough props.
Yeah. See, I've seen season 1 only. I haven't started season 2 yet, but season 1 is so deftly creepy at
Mhm.
the turn, like out of nowhere. It is so creepy, and like all the blackface stuff in it, and like
Yeah, that is still
it's
a theme in season
okay.
2.
It's so scary. It's like actually like a really freaky series. So I'm really glad that it's back.
Yeah.
Yeah. So season 2, and it came out the end of April as well. So
Yeah, and it's
yeah.
available on Prime Video.
Yes. All right. So got an addition to the library. So it's time for this. All right. So I just won this week. I got it from Movie Allied Vaughn. Is The Rain People from Warner Archive. This is a Francis Ford Coppola film from the late 60s, 1969, I believe this film came out. This is the film he did right before he adapted The Godfather, famously. And it also has James Caan and Robert Duvall in it. I've honestly never heard of this movie before. And I was super surprised when I looked it up, when I was doing the ordering for it, and I looked it up and I was like, Rain People, why is that? Seems kind of familiar. And I looked it up and it's an early Francis Ford Coppola movie, so I had to get it. So bare bones, there's nothing on it, but I will be checking it out in the future and give my full review then. And that's it for New to the Library, and just got a quick couple things to tell you, a couple reminders. Dune Part 2 is out this week on 4K. The lovely people at Warner Brothers sent me the 4K. And it's got like an hour of special features, creating the Fremen world, Chakobas, Chakob's training. I didn't have to learn the dialect. They did. Worm riding, which I'm excited about checking out. Deeper into the desert, the sounds of Dune, and more. As for the movie itself, I did review it on March 8th, and go to my letterbox to see the perfect review I gave it. So I won't tell you, but it was a
You
5.
just did.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
I gave it a perfect rating, but you're not going to know what it is unless you go look at
Yeah, well, I smoke too much weed.
it. Don't do drugs, kids.
Also, Imaginary is out this week. The Blumhouse Wasted Potential. I reviewed it on the March 22nd episode. I think Chloe has seen it since then. What are your feelings on Imaginary?
I haven't seen it. No.
Okay. I thought you had watched it, so never mind. You don't have to, is what I'm saying. And you too, audience, you
Wait.
don't have to.
Wait. No, I did see Imaginary. I
Yeah,
just
see?
completely blanked it out of
You
my
just blanked
memory.
it out. Yeah,
Didn't need it.
exactly. Exactly. The best part of the movie is the beginning scene. It's the thing with the coolest, it's the coolest the movie ever looks, is that beginning scene. And it's got one of the I laughed in theaters when one of the deaths happened, like laughed. So it's not good. It's not good. Also, One Life with Anthony Hopkins is now out on Blu-ray. This movie will make you cry, and it's just gonna do that. It's just that's what it's geared for. That's the only gear, and it's just like it's a slow slide to tears. You know it's coming. But I reviewed it also on the March 22nd episode, so you can go back and see what I thought of it there. Also on my letterbox. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to tell you either. So let's give a little. Let's put on the palette what I'm going to talk about next week. As the taste of next week is, I'm going to go see If, the Ryan Reynolds film directed by John Krasinski about imaginary friends. So it's kind of funny that we brought up Imaginary, but I will say it was a choice. I had a 3 choice of the early screening this week. It was either going to be this movie, The Strangers Chapter 1, or Back to Black. And I opted with If, because the initial reviews for for The Strangers are sadly terrible.
Oh no.
Yeah, I'm really bummed out because it's going to be the first movie in that franchise that's not good. And Back to Black, that trailer makes me mad. Makes me really mad. So I don't know if I want to go see it in theaters. Yeah. I don't like how they're making her dad seem like a good guy. It's not the truth. It's not the
Yeah.
truth as we know it. So that kind of bugs me. But I don't want to get into a rant about it. You don't need to see me in a rant about it right at the end of this episode, which we are at the
Um
end of the episode.
I do want to bring up one thing. I did check out Sugar with
Okay,
Colin
yeah,
Farrell.
yeah, yeah.
I hate to say it. I hate to say it, but I don't like it.
You know, is it
No.
too slow?
It's my cat's attacking me. It's it's like they're trying to be M. Night Shyamalan, but they're not M. Night Shyamalan.
How much did you watch?
I watched 4 episodes.
Okay, so you almost watched all of it then. It's only
Pardon?
6, I think. I think it's only 6.
Yeah.
So I think you're
Yeah.
almost done.
Yeah, like I got through 4 episodes and then I was like, "Okay, this is starting to become frustrating because I still have no idea what's going on." And it's like, yeah, sometimes that's fun, but I want at least something to hold on to
Okay.
instead of just being like, "Oh, it's this. This is what's going on." Oh, okay, that just negated that. So it's this that's no, it's not that either.
Oh,
And it's
yeah.
like over the course of 4 episodes, it's kind of just like give me anything.
Yeah.
So I looked it up, like what the twist was, and I was like, "Really?" Because
Uh,
I came up with way cooler theories.
That's fair. That's fair. I love it though. I
People
love that
are
you dug
really
into it.
divided on it though.
Yeah. Yeah, it seems like
Yeah.
it. Seems like it. I know people that are into it, even in this household, and ones that are not. And that was been the internet. So yeah, it makes sense. But thanks for digging into that. I had a feeling once the Farrell was brought up that you jump on it.
Yeah. I still love Colin Farrell.
Not
I
this.
mean, I I may be alone on this, but I kind of wish that it was constantly from Colin Farrell's perspective
Mm,
instead of
hmm.
jumping to like, what are the bad guys doing? Like, I don't care what the bad guys are doing. Like, I care what he's gonna do.
Yeah,
So,
that's his pitfalls. That's
yeah,
fair. That's fair. That brings us to the end of this episode. And you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, Letterbox, and Threads. Letterboxed and Threads at the Steeple Dead.
you can find me on Letterboxd at HoneyBunChloe.
You can find this show on stevestebbing.ca. Also, if you're on the YouTube page, which you probably are, Steve Stebbing, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. You can also find this show on shiftheads.ca. That's with my buddy Shane Hewitt. All right. And we've emptied our list for this week. So we got to go fill it up again. So until then, see ya.